Have you ever felt an inexplicable fear or phobia that has no logical explanation in your current life? Have you ever experienced instant connections or instant aversions to certain people, places, or situations that feel deeply familiar yet completely foreign? Have you ever wondered if the patterns of suffering, limitation, or emotional blocks you face today might actually be echoes from deep unconscious experiences or soul memories, and if there's a way to finally heal these ancient wounds? If this question just awakens something profound in your soul, you're exactly where you need to be, because what I'm about to share will reveal the most powerful method that Paramhansa Yogananda taught for releasing deep soul trauma. Ancient wisdom that can begin liberating you from invisible chains and start transforming your entire life experience through a 7-day healing process. You see, most people in the world either completely dismiss the idea of soul memories and deep unconscious patterns, or they believe that ancient trauma is an unchangeable burden they must carry forever. But the great spiritual master Paramhansa Yogananda revealed something that changes everything about how we understand soul memory and our power to heal it. He lovingly taught us, your soul carries the memory of every deep experience, whether from this lifetime or beyond. But these memories are not permanent scars. They are temporary impressions that can be dissolved through conscious spiritual practice. Deep soul trauma exists as energetic patterns in your subtle body, and just as you can heal physical wounds, you can heal soul wounds through the power of divine love and conscious awareness. Whether you view these patterns as literal past life memories or as deep unconscious imprints from early childhood or ancestral lineage, the healing process remains the same. If you've ever experienced a moment of deep meditation or prayer where you felt ancient burdens lifting from your soul, or times when you've had vivid dreams or insights that felt like memories from another time and place, then you already sense this profound truth. Deep soul trauma is not a life sentence. It's simply unresolved energy that can be transformed through understanding and spiritual practice. And I promise you, by the end of this sacred journey together, you'll never feel trapped by invisible patterns again. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through Yogananda's most powerful 7-day soul healing method, a systematic approach that can begin dissolving ancient trauma and start freeing you to live with greater clarity and peace. Please understand that deep healing is a process that unfolds differently for each person. And for severe trauma, it's always wise to seek support from qualified professionals alongside spiritual practice. But first, let me ask you something that might feel deeply familiar. Have you noticed that some of your deepest fears, strongest attractions, or most persistent life patterns seem to have no clear origin in your current conscious memory? Like you've always been afraid of water despite never having a drowning experience, or you feel an instant soul connection with certain spiritual practices or cultures. If you're recognizing these soul memories right now, you're already experiencing what Yogananda called the awakening of deep consciousness, where you begin to understand that your current life is deeply connected to experiences and lessons that may extend beyond your conscious awareness. Yogananda explained it beautifully when he gently said, deep soul trauma creates what we call energetic knots in the soul, blockages that prevent the free flow of divine love and wisdom through your being. These knots manifest as unexplained fears, limiting beliefs, relationship patterns, and even physical ailments that seem to have no current conscious cause. But the beautiful truth is that these knots can be untied through conscious spiritual work, freeing your soul to express its divine nature more fully. Now, you might be wondering how this actually works in practical terms when dealing with real emotional or spiritual blocks. And here's where it gets truly transformative. According to Yogananda's deepest teachings, there is what he called the 7-day soul liberation process, a specific spiritual method that works systematically to identify, understand, and begin releasing deep soul trauma through divine grace and conscious awareness. This process works by addressing the 7 major energy centers of the soul, beginning to clear ancient impressions and gradually restoring your natural state of spiritual freedom. Think about your own unexplained patterns for a moment. Can you identify one persistent fear, limitation, or emotional block that seems to have no clear origin in your current conscious memory? Maybe it's a fear of abandonment, a pattern of self-sabotage, difficulty trusting others, or feeling unworthy of love. Take a moment to really feel into this pattern, because what you're recognizing is likely a soul memory that is ready to begin healing and releasing. This recognition you just felt, it's what Yogananda called the moment of soul awakening. Every time you become conscious of a pattern that doesn't serve you, you create the possibility for beginning to heal it at its deepest level. And here's what changes everything. You don't need to remember specific details or origins to heal deep soul trauma. You simply need to work with the energy patterns as they show up in your current experience. Now, I want you to be completely honest with yourself for a moment. When you think about your deepest fears or most limiting patterns, do you feel like they're just part of who you are and will never change? Or can you sense that they might be ancient energies that could be transformed through dedicated spiritual practice? Your answer will reveal how ready you are to step into soul-level healing. If you sense that these patterns could be transformed, then you're ready for what comes next. Because now, I'm going to share exactly how Yogananda taught people to practice the 7-day soul liberation process, systematically beginning to clear ancient trauma and start reclaiming their spiritual freedom. The method he taught works through what he called divine light healing, using conscious meditation and prayer to flood deep soul impressions with divine love until they begin to dissolve. Let's begin with day 1 right now. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and think of one limiting pattern you'd like to heal. Now, as Yogananda taught, visualize brilliant white light surrounding this pattern with infinite love, and silently say, "Divine love. I am ready to begin releasing all ancient fears and limitations that no longer serve my soul's highest good. I open myself to gradual healing and transformation." Did you feel that shift in your energy? That's the beginning of soul-level healing. If you felt even a subtle shift just now, imagine what happens when you practice this systematically for 7 days with patience and dedication. But there's a deeper aspect of this process that Yogananda said was essential for complete healing. He called it soul forgiveness, the practice of sending love and forgiveness to all souls involved in creating deep trauma, including yourself. Here's how Yogananda taught this profound healing practice. Each day of the 7-day process, spend time sending unconditional love and forgiveness to any soul who may have caused you pain, whether in this lifetime or beyond. And equally important, forgive yourself for any pain you may have caused others. He taught that deep soul trauma often involves energetic entanglements with other souls, and these can only be fully healed when love and forgiveness flow in all directions. Let me share a story that beautifully illustrates this soul-healing transformation. As I tell you this, I want you to ask yourself, what might begin to change in my life if I could start healing the ancient wounds that limit my soul's expression? There was a devoted student who came to Yogananda in deep distress, saying, "Master, I have an overwhelming fear of being betrayed that ruins every relationship I try to build. I've never been seriously betrayed in this life that I can remember, but the fear is so strong it feels ancient. I feel like I'm trapped by something I can't even understand." Yogananda looked at her with infinite compassion and said something that changed her entire understanding of healing. "My child, Your soul remembers experiences of betrayal, whether from early childhood, ancestral patterns, or deeper soul experiences, and these memories are creating fear in your current relationships. But this is not a curse. It's an opportunity for your soul to learn the lesson of unconditional love and trust. The fear exists because the lesson is incomplete. When you begin healing this ancient wound through divine love and forgiveness, you will gradually become free from fear and develop mastery of love and trust. He then taught her the 7-day soul liberation process. Each day, she would meditate on sending divine love to the ancient experiences of betrayal, forgiving all souls involved, and filling her heart with trust in divine protection. Day by day, she felt layers of ancient fear beginning to dissolve, gradually replaced by a growing sense of spiritual safety and the ability to love with less fear. Over the course of several weeks of dedicated practice, something beautiful began to unfold. Her fear of betrayal significantly diminished, and she found herself naturally attracting more trustworthy, loving people into her life. More importantly, she discovered that healing this ancient wound had begun awakening profound spiritual gifts of intuition and compassion that had been blocked by the old trauma. She realized, "Master, I thought this fear was my weakness, but beginning to heal it is becoming my greatest strength." Knight, when I share this story with people, they often ask with amazement, can deep soul trauma really begin healing that significantly through spiritual practice? And the answer is absolutely yes, though the timing varies for each person and the depth of their healing journey, because soul healing doesn't happen in linear time. It happens in the eternal now of divine love, where significant healing becomes possible when the soul is truly ready to begin releasing. Now here's what Yogananda wanted everyone to understand at the deepest level. He taught that deep soul trauma is not punishment for past mistakes, but rather unfinished lessons that your soul chose to work with in this lifetime. As he beautifully said, every soul wound you carry is also a soul gift waiting to be unwrapped. When you begin healing ancient trauma through divine love, you don't just remove limitations, you start activating the spiritual powers and wisdom that the trauma was blocking. Your greatest wounds can become your greatest strengths when transformed by conscious love. If you're truly ready to step into this sacred healing, then make this soul commitment right now. I recognize that my soul is ready to begin healing all ancient wounds that limit my divine expression. I will practice the 7-day soul liberation process with dedication and patience. I will send love and forgiveness to all souls across all experiences. I will trust in divine love's power to begin healing what seems impossible to heal. I am ready to start reclaiming my spiritual freedom and expressing my soul's highest potential. Say it with your whole heart. Your soul and all souls connected to your healing journey are listening. As Paramhansa Yogananda beautifully reminded us, deep soul trauma is like a dream that feels real until you begin to wake up. When you start awakening to your true nature as divine love itself, you realize that no experience across any time frame can truly harm your eternal soul. You are not broken by your past. You are made stronger and wiser through conscious healing, and every wound you begin to heal not only starts freeing you, but contributes to the healing of all souls. Mont, before we part ways, I want to leave you with something sacred you can do right now to begin your 7-day healing journey. Take out your phone and write yourself one word that represents the ancient pattern you're ready to start healing. Perhaps fear, unworthiness, or abandonment. Put it where you'll see it tomorrow morning. This simple act will anchor your intention for soul healing and remind you that your spiritual freedom can begin with 7 days of conscious practice. If this message awakened something sacred in your understanding of soul healing, I'd be deeply honored if you shared it with someone who needs this perspective today. Sometimes we become the vessel through which divine love reaches another soul who feels trapped by invisible patterns and needs to remember their power to begin healing at the deepest level. I'd love to know, what was that one word you wrote down about the pattern you're ready to start healing? Share it in the comments below. Your courage to begin healing might be exactly what someone else needs to start their own journey of soul liberation. Until our souls meet again in divine love, may you remember that you are not defined by any experience from any time frame, but by the eternal love that you are. Remember, dear soul, every ancient wound you begin to heal not only starts freeing you, but contributes to the healing of the entire human family. Honor your soul's journey, trust in divine love's healing power, and watch as 7 days of conscious practice begins transforming lifetimes of limitation into greater spiritual freedom. Through understanding deep soul trauma as unfinished lessons rather than permanent scars, you discover that healing is always possible to begin, and that your soul's liberation contributes to the liberation of all souls. This is Yogananda's greatest gift, the recognition that you are not a victim of your soul's history, but the conscious healer of it.